It's a new day. Hey, if it's a new day, then the past is gone, the future isn't here, but we have an opportunity to live life in an incredible way today. You ever heard that saying, the past is gone? Well, I guess I just sort of said the present's here, the future has not yet come. And the now is called the present, and one reason it's a present to us. The reality of now is a present gift to us to live life. I hope that comes together for you. If not, hey, don't worry about it. Look, I want to consider with you faith blockers. We're going to consider faith blockers, things that block faith. But the way I'm going to do this, I want to break it up into sections. So this morning, I'm going to do two broadcasts. I'm going to do this one, make it short, try to make it short. I will. And then a second one, I'm going to stop it and do a second one. So some of the things that we're going to be looking at, and then so we're going to do one, then two, and then we will next or later in the week, next week, whatever, I'll take each of these that I'm considering so that we can have persistent and consistent faith. What is faith? Faith is simply trusting, believing, having confidence in God that what he says he will do, and when it comes to an individual, us, that he will do, perform his word for us. You get in your car, you expect it to work for you when you turn the key, perform whatever, unless you got a dead battery or something. You expect the lights in your house to work when you turn them on. You expect a chair to sit in to hold you when you get in it. So the first one I'm going to look at today was what I had said. This probably wasn't the best order, but acting out of desperation. Now I'm going to give you a list. One of them, besides acting out of desperation, doesn't get results with God. It's not your intellect that gets results with God. It's not our smarts. Well, just how smart are you? Yeah. Now, knowledge does play into this, but it isn't your worldly smarts. Okay. Then let's see what also. Another thing that can defeat the promises of God, since I've given you this list and it's going to take a little time, negative talk, like griping, worry, fretting, anxiety, agonizing over something. Those things are faith blockers, okay? Another faith blocker. They'll block God from working in your life is the wrong view of God. People say, it's not my time, God wills my sickness, not knowing the will of God. God, another one that comes right in this category is God put sickness on you, or someone says, God put this sickness on me to teach me something or to bring glory to him. I can tell you that is a lie. It does not glorify sickness. Sickness does not glorify God, right? Sickness doesn't glorify God. The only one it glorifies would be the devil, okay? Another lie that defeats God in our lives or is a faith blocker. Lord, if it be your will. Those few faith-destroying words have caused a lot of people not to receive the promises of God. If it's your will. Another lie that has defeated people is miracles have passed away. Yeah, the day of miracles is gone. They've passed away. So lie two, which I shouldn't even say two. Now this is confusing because I've said all these. It's just my list is not complete and I wanted to get going here, or I didn't get it all organized like I wanted. You're not going to, when you minister to people and you serve people, it isn't going to be how you have all your ducks in a row that God's going to work. It's going to be because God is so good, loving, and kind that he is at work. Okay? So we should understand that. All right, I'll get the comments up here. They're coming up. So God gets glory from sickness. That's a lie. There's that scripture in Romans 8 about all things working together for good. That has been used, that my sickness is working together for good. All things work together for good to them that love God. And he declares your wholeness, right? So another faith blocker would be or lie, God's put sickness on you to teach you something. And then another lie, unbelief is okay. Well, if I have unbelief, it's okay. Well, remember, Jesus said, or the scriptures say, that Jesus Christ did not do many mighty works there because of their unbelief. Not his, theirs. Let's get it right. That would be in Matthew 13:58. So my thing did not come up. Let's try again. There it is. I see Ann, Sandy, all you wonderful people here. And who knows what's Periscope. The Restream app is having issues. So today we are going to look at acting out of desperation, and it's not intellect that gets results. I'm going to do it in two parts because I want the titles to follow. So I'm going to do this broadcast, stop, do another quick one. All right, and I had doing that list added quite a bit of time. So in Mark 9, I said we were going to do this yesterday, and now I've just expanded on it, and it'll probably become my longest series, but, well, maybe not my longest series that I've done, because we've done Orientalisms way in the past. We've, customs and mannerisms of the Bible, and a few other things. But this is a little bit of a long record. This man is acting out of desperation, we'll see, and it's in Mark 9:14 through 25. Really, I want like 17, somewhere in there. So the crowd was arguing. It says, 14 says that when Jesus came to his disciples, I guess I am going back a few verses from where I said, he saw there was a great crowd around them, and the scribes arguing with Jesus' disciples. And immediately all the crowd, when they saw him, were greatly amazed and ran up to him and greeted him, Jesus. And he asked them, "What are you all arguing about? What is this big hoopla that's going on? This brouhaha," that'd be your big word for the day. What is this brouhaha? Except that means more of like a fight. It was arguing. So someone from the crowd answered, "Teacher, I brought my son to you," and it's very unspecific, but it's specific. "Teacher, I brought my son to you, for he has a spirit that makes him mute. And whenever it seizes him, it throws him down, and he foams and grinds his teeth, and he becomes rigid." We might say this would probably fit many cases of like epileptic seizures, okay? But there are other things too. Just because someone has epileptic seizures, don't always make it a spirit. What if they've got something wrong in their head and they need healing in their head? But it can be caused by a spirit. Okay, that's very clear. "So I brought my son to you, for he's a spirit. He does these things. And I asked your disciples to cast it out, and they were not able." Now we got a problem, because Jesus Christ gave them authority over all manner of sickness and disease. Matthew 10:1, "And he called unto him his 12 disciples, and he gave them authority over unclean spirits to cast them out and heal every disease and every sickness." King James, every manner of sickness and disease, right? When the 70 were sent out in Luke 10:17 through 19, the 72, or 70, right? 72. I got to get it right. 72 returned with joy. "Lord, even the devils, the demons, are subject to us in your name." And he said to them, "I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Behold, I have given you authority to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall hurt you." I'm going to mention a video that you would be really good to see. Iris After Hours, IRIS, Iris After Hours video, episode 22 with Gershom. Can't remember his name. I've watched it more than once, at least 2, maybe 3 times. He faces cobras. God reveals things to him in dreams, visions. Stuff we're going to be talking about. A lot of it is in this video, and it's really good. Casting out of devils, and then they're going into other people. They're leaving the person he casts them out of, and they go into another person, and it's possessing them. Well, There's a lot of good insights in that Iris After Hours, episode 22. Powerful. I think they're about 45 minutes long. No, actually, maybe an hour. Really good. Really good. That one, I've seen a lot of them. There's a lot of good ones. That's one I wanted to point out. So anyways, we're back to this record in Mark 9. So this child has these seizures. I'm just going to keep it simple, okay? So he says to them, because his disciples couldn't cast him out. Why? That God, through Jesus, had given the disciples the authority over all manner of sickness and disease. So something isn't working right, because they should be having complete authority in these circumstances. And, okay, kill that. Okay. So what are we going to do? Great blessed morning to you all. So he says to them, okay, your disciples, the man says, your disciples were not able to cast him out. Something's wrong, because up to this point, they didn't have any trouble. They were doing just fine. Okay? He says to them, "O faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? How long am I to bear with you? Bring him to me." Do you remember when Jesus Christ was on the boat and the storm came? And they woke him up, "Master, don't you care that we perish?" And he got up and he rebuked the storm. And what did he chide them for? What did he rebuke, correct them on? Their unbelief. Yes. Here they are with the master, who operates believing just 0 to 100, just wonderfully every time. And they have been around it and they don't get it yet. And they were fearful and afraid, right? There's a faith blocker, but that's not the one today. So, O faithless generation, he is declaring that they're not in faith. Look, they're arguing. The arguing's going on. Arguing over God is a faith blocker, okay? But this man is acting out of desperation and not getting results. But Jesus Christ hones in on the reality of what the issue is. So they brought the boy to him. He said, "Bring him to me." And they brought the boy to him, this man's child. And when the spirit saw him, the spirit, not the child, the spirit inside him, now we know we got a spirit, immediately convulsed the boy, and he fell on the ground and rolled about, foaming at the mouth. And Jesus is casual. He's not freaking out. Oh my gosh, what do I do? Come out, get out. Jesus is at peace. So he's not all freaked out or worried what's going on, because he knows who he is. Do you know when you get in a situation that's pretty messed up, maybe there's arguing and stuff going on, are you at peace? There's a real key whether you're in faith, right? What is it? Now, the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing. Romans 15:13. Is that right? Okay. So this child, the spirit in that child that's possessing him, when it saw Jesus, fell to the ground, rolled about, foaming at the mouth, convulsing, having a fit. Well, I guess maybe you'd say. Jesus asked his father, he's chilled, "How long has it been happening to him?" And he said, "From a childhood. And it is oft would be the King James, often cast him into the fire and into water to destroy him. But if you can do anything," now there's a real issue, but if you can do anything, this man is laying to Jesus, "Hey, your disciples, they're not so hot. So if you're their leader, how hot are you on the things of God?" So, if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us. And Jesus said to him, now Jesus recognized the man's unbelief. Do you and I recognize unbelief in people, and then do we get that straightened out? That's going to be a big key in seeing deliverance in people, is understanding what is going on. Okay? Okay. So immediately the father-child cried out and said, I got to back up. "If you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us." And Jesus recognized the error in this man and said to him, if you can, you're laying it on me, if I can, all things are possible for the one who believes. Oh, then we throw in our intellect. That's a mess up. We throw in our intellect, whatever. If you can, all things are possible for the one who believes. Immediately the father of the child cried out and said, Lord, I believe, or I believe. And he says, help my unbelief. And when Jesus saw the crowd running together, verse 25, he rebuked the unclean spirit, saying to it, here's the rebuking. Here's what he's commanding the spirit to do. You mute and deaf spirit, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again. What simple, powerful, words spoken, words of the spirit that produce the result. Because, spirits can go into another person. And if they do not have put on the mind of Christ. Here it is. So a spirit goes out of a person and you're in a crowd, and people that haven't put on the mind of Christ, don't know who they are, they have no wall up, spiritually speaking, the spirit can come in them. Some of you are really familiar with what I'm talking about, either by experience or you understand these things. But look, when you put on the renewed mind, the mind of Christ that you have, spirits don't come in because you don't believe their lies. But if your mind is like loosey-goosey out there and you don't have truth in there to stand against the enemy can just come in and out. And this is why he tells him, this child, to this spirit, come out and never enter again, because you don't have permission to enter in. And they must obey you because they must obey the Christ in you. All right? Now, the scriptures add this kind, Mark 9:29, this kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer, and many scriptures say fasting. Well, you look at a number of the Greek text. For those that want to be researchers of the Bible and do the 2 Timothy 2:15 thing, study to show yourself approved on God, the word fasting is not in there in the majority of the text. The old King James Stevens, it was in there. But you look at the modern translations, just go to like Bible Hub or whatever, and you'll see they don't even add fasting because it's not in any of the texts. They get out. King James used one text. The others, okay, we're going to look at 5, 6 texts and put them together, and fasting's not in there. So you want to leave the prayer in there, that's fine. But here's the deal, the fasting issue. Let's deal with that. Well, it doesn't come out by prayer and fasting. You want to leave the fasting in there. Mark 9, Mark 9, no, I ain't got it right yet. Let me get it right. Matthew 9:14. We're going to deal with the fasting issue. Matthew 9:14. Then the disciples of John came to him saying, why do we and the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast? The evidence was, if we look at even that record or others, that the disciples with Jesus were not fasting. So Jesus is now telling them it doesn't come out but by prayer and fasting. Sorry, they weren't doing it, and they were casting out devils. It was added by a scribe that thought, well, let's be really religious and add in the fasting. It's not in the original scriptures. It was added by a religious scribe or somebody, a translator. And there's so much evidence for this that I could get out my Greek text or copies of Greek text, and I could show you what I'm talking about, that fasting is added. Okay? And also we see in Matthew 10:1, and he called them his 12 disciples and gave them authority over unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal every disease and every affliction. He did not add, but only with prayer, or only with prayer and fasting. And the 70, we just read these a minute or 5 ago, the Luke 10:17 through 19. We saw the 72 that were sent out. We saw demons are subject to us in your name. I saw how, and then Jesus said, I saw how Satan fell like lightning from heaven. Behold, I have given you authority to tread on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall hurt you. But only if you pray and fast. We must look at many clear verses, and we've only looked at 2 on this, and it isn't in there. These things were added by people. Now, if you want to leave them in there, I don't have an issue with you, okay? But look, it wasn't because they didn't fast that it'll work. I know a wonderful brother in Christ, and because of his background, he's so committed to this fasting thing. He always throws in the fasting thing, and I think of all the times, the few times we've gone to Africa, I've been to Pakistan and stuff. When the spirits come out, I tell you, it wasn't because I was fasting, and it wasn't because of my great prayers. It was because I know the authority I have because of what he's declared, and we release it. But this man was acting out of desperation. Desperation does not get you results with God. Trusting, believing, having confidence in him, acting in faith does get the results. I don't understand this kind of unbelief on my comes out. I think you're saying that unbelief can be corrected. In other words, there's two types of unbelief, basically, in the scriptures. One is the unbelief that people have not heard enough to believe. In other words, they have not heard enough truth to believe. There's another kind of apatheia. Yeah, those are the fancy Greek words, whatever. These were the other one. Apatheia, if I remember right, is the one. Pistis is faith, believing. The A before it reverses the words, like we say, if we say belief or unbelief. If we say pistis, believing, or apatheia, we're talking unbelief. The A is like our un before the word. It changes the meaning. It reverses it. So if people have not heard what they need to hear to believe, like we see in this man, that was the result. If the disciples had said this to him, look, it's your unbelief that is causing the issue, they would have had no trouble. But they didn't recognize it. The man in desperation, we got to help him. He's desperate. His child's foaming away or whatever. The other one, apatheia, is there are people that hear the word of God and they've heard enough to believe, but they choose to refuse to believe the truth. This man was not like this, acting out of desperation. Once he knew what his part was to do, this of what he was to do, he did it. This Patty wrote this note. The kind of unbelief is what he's referring to as coming out. Right. The unbelief that you don't believe what God has declared, his truth. Look, all things are possible to him that believes. They had the power, they had the authority, disciples missed it. So this is number one, acting out of desperation. We're going to end this, and then I'm going to do a shorter one that it's not your intellect that gets results. And I want to give you the list again that I have. Let's see, a few of them anyway. Fear, worry, fretting, agonizing, and anxiety do not get results with God. If that's the place you are, don't expect results. Negative talk, griping, whining, complaining, and fault finding. Those won't work, right? This fear and a negative talk. A wrong view of God. It's not my time. God wills my sickness, not knowing the will of God. They have some overlap, some of these. God puts sickness on you to teach something. These are lies that are faith blockers, okay? Lord, if it's your will. No good. Miracles have passed away. No, that's not true. And we're going to deal with each of these over different days, except I'm doing 2 this morning as soon as I end this. Another one, God gets glory from sickness. God never gets glory from sickness. We'll see from the scripture, he is glorified when people are healed. I had that one. Okay, so, and another lie. Unbelief is okay. It's okay to have unbelief. No, God does not want us to be ignorant concerning spiritual things matters. When we are ignorant of spiritual things and matters, we can be in a place of unbelief. Unbelief is not okay when the right way of believing is available to know and walk in. Have an incredible day. See some of you in just a few minutes, and we'll do this other one on, gotta go to my list here, it's not intellect that gets results, and I'm going to keep that one short, okay?